Hey guys, I've been working on a little Sims 4 challenge for a while. I'm still refining it. That's what you see on the screen today. It's called the Crystalberry Challenge. It's based upon the gemstones that you can find in the Sims 4, and it's also a reference to the berry challenges. Now, it's more like not so berry in the fact that you don't have to make your sim entirely berry, but it does have color themes. So it says by Littlest Game Corner, which is my Tumblr for my sim stuff, which was formerly Honey Bob, which is my old Sims YouTube channel, which I still haven't deleted it because I have the archive there for all my sim stuff. But we're going to get started with the base rules, where you finish each generation to the best of your ability. It's okay to not finish. Just move on to the next generation as needed. It's more about the story than the goals, per se. You start each generation as a rags to riches, or you start each generation with the starting funds of 1,500 simoleons. You know, give you a little bit of stuff, or you can go with nothing. Each generation has one random trait. Feel free to use it at any time in the lifespan. Just like you can have, let's say it has the genius trait. You could choose genius first and then your random. Or you can wait until they're an adult to use the random trait. Just any time feel free to just drop a random trait in. I do have some recommended mods. MC Command Center and UI Chiefs Extension. I lost my cursor for a second. Uh, those are my bread and butter for fixing things. And then my other three are Dine Out Reloaded for the Dine Out pack, which is by Carl Sims Guides, if I remember correctly. Then the RPO mod, which is the Relationship and Pregnancy Overhaul. It's a very good mod, just for, that area in general, for family and family planning. And then the other one that I have, which I don't think they're working on anymore, is Lifetime Aspirations Reworked. That one's optional. It's, where you have the aspirations reworked to be more like The Sims 3 or Sims 2, where it has one goal, but it's one big goal. And then you can just buy your traits later. It's I like it because it gives more of a challenge. Makes Super Sim challenges really hard, actually. So here's our first generation. Generation 1, Rose. Your traits are random, animal enthusiast, and good. Aspiration, Renaissance Sim. I couldn't think of another aspiration at the moment. This is still very work in progress, but we're going to go over what we have now, and then we'll do a test run. So we will definitely do that with Gen 1 here. The career, gardener, floral designer branch. They may not be the exact wording of the careers, just because I was doing it off the top of my head at the moment. I was writing it. Skills, pet training, flower arranging, and guitar. I was thinking, what kind of trait could I just throw it, not trait, skill could I throw in there that might, just add a little more depth to the character, and then I was like, guitar. We'll just give her a guitar skill. The achievements, goals. Woohoo in a picnic blanket. It was more for when the trait had socially awkward. But, let's have her woohoo in a picnic blanket for them, not her. Donate 10,000 simoleons to charities. Complete the Magic Beans collection, which is the plant sim one. So you could just move to Inniscreen and talk to the plant sims all the time and get your magic beans, or you can do it through gardening bags, little packets. And you could teach one dog 5 tricks or train out 3 misbehaviors for a cat. Because apparently you cannot teach tricks to cats. So, that's the thing. Let's move on to Generation 2. Generation 2, Plumbite. Traits: active, cat lover, and random. Aspirations: the child aspiration, rambunctious scamp. And friend of the animals. Based on your cat lover, pretty much. The career: restaurant owner, or chef if you use Dine Out Reloaded. That's where the mods come into play, because I really enjoy being my own chef. Skills: mixology, cooking, gourmet cooking. You know. Achievements: woohoo with Greg. That one's a little different, because you're a cat lover, but yet you woohoo with a werewolf. But I figured that would be a little fun goal. Have 3 generations on one lot until the founders pass away. That's just so we, have grandparent, parent, and child. And complete the fish collection. Or you can have 10 pet fish instead. Because that is a little difficult the more packs you have, from my understanding. Because you can find fish everywhere, and then there's the newer ones that come in, and it's harder to find the base game ones. Just from my experience. Generation 3, Amazonite, or Amazonite. Traits: geek, bro, random. Aspiration: computer whiz. Career: freelance paranormal investigator. Skills: robotics, knitting, and medium skill. Most of these are, to add more interesting traits than just, what you expect. Achievements: unlock as many knittables as you can for Create a Sim. You don't have to do them all, but, having all the hats or the socks would be a nice goal. Have 12 plus traits. Modded traits do not count. By that I mean, wants to have children. That one. That doesn't count. Complete the Void Critter Collection. That one's optional because, you can continue to collect them as an adult, but they're not as easy to find. So if you don't do it as a kid, it's a little harder. But, still possible. And create one Plumbot. I think that's what they're called in The Sims 3. Not Sims 3, Sims 4. Because there's Plumbots, servos. It might be a servo in The Sims 4. I don't know. I'll fix it when I figure it out. Generation 4, Jet. Traits: kleptomaniac, romantic, random. Aspiration: mansion baron. Career: retail store or small business owner. Just in case you've got to get to work or businesses and hobbies. Achievements: accept every phone invitation except ones that would break your bank. Like, would you like to go out and eat? They don't pay, you end up paying. So, ones like those. Have an affair. Your choice whether or not to reconcile or move on. I had to add a little spice in here somewhere. Complete the postcards collection. Something I've never done, so, it might be interesting to do. Generation 5, Jonquilist. Traits: self-assured, random, ambitious. Aspiration: jungle explorer. Career: astronaut, space ranger branch. Skills: logic, fitness, and DJ mixing. Achievements: have a baby with an alien. Bonus if the baby's parents is actually a pollination technician, which means you got abducted by aliens. Have 5 children. Just throw a little nod to Generation 5 with 5 children. And complete the Space Rocks collection. And the final generation, Generation 6, Rainbows. Traits: hot-headed, vegetarian, random. Aspirations: country caretaker or soulmate, or both. You know, whichever one you want to work with. Career: farmer or rancher. Achievements: win a Hinford on Bagley Fair, either crop or animal produce. That one's kind of optional because the fairs sometimes just aren't fair. You know, you can have like the best of something and then you just totally lose. Wait until second marriage for children. Own a red mini sheep. Grow 2 of each overgrown crop at one time and complete the decorative eggs collection. I with this whole thing, like I said, I try to add some interesting things with each generation. A little bit of spice here and there. You know, just try to encompass as much of the legacy spirit as I could in a short 6-generation legacy. I would have continued, but I couldn't think of any other ones, honestly. And these originally started as a build your own berry legacy. I was messing around with a spreadsheet that was shared where you could build your own berry legacies. So I started with those, you know, just rolling the dice. That's why some of the traits are a little different. But I tried to fix them, you know, make them more in line with the generation that I could. So I want to say I might have a copy of this out by the time we have our actual series on this. Because I do plan on doing more Sims content. Hytale was just, you know, Hytale hijinks. You know, just every now and then. But I want to focus more on the Sims stuff. Because that is a very vital time right now for The Sims 4. Where it can make or break it. Right now it's not doing so hot. But I still really enjoy the game. And I've already paid for it. So I want to get my money's worth out of it, which I'm pretty sure I already have. Because I've got almost 5,000 hours in it since it first came out. So I definitely want to continue with this game. Like, I love The Sims 3 from what I've played of it so far. But Sims 4 is where my heart's at. Because I've just played so much of it. So, I hope you enjoyed this challenge. You know, go through, play through, whatever. That we had today. You know, I will. How do I put this? I will make sure that I get the hard copy out. You know, I'll probably have it on my blogger, because that's where I tend to put my legacy challenges, just because it looks nice. I'll probably put it on my Tumblr as well, and then we'll eventually link to it, if I can put a link in the description. I remember it got a little funky at some point where I couldn't put links. So, if that's the case, I will, you know, continue to link back to this video so you'll be able to see the rules. And, you know, you can slow down as much as you need to read the rules, write down the rules, or make a copy of them. You know, just whichever way ends up being the way that it happens. So, until next time, guys. See ya.